Today's episode is sponsored by No Strings Attached e-News, your premier online magazine with interesting and informative articles from lifestyle, entertainment, and news worldwide. Visit the website to find out what's buzzing on nsaen.com. Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. Master poet, spoken word artist, professor, author, and producer, Queen Sheba is today's guest. Queen Sheba will talk about her incredible experiences and success in her industry, as well as her new album.
Queen Sheba, welcome to Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. You know, you're so accomplished, and I could read your resume now, but it's not a 3-hour show. And you have so many things that you do. According to my calculations, based on what you accomplished, you should be about 107 years old. So
I did. I just turned 107 in August.
you look fabulous, or as they say from Saturday Night Live, you look marvelous. So I have to
Thank
tell you that, before we talk about your new album, can you tell us a little bit about your childhood, maybe as far back when you were just a princess?
Oh, geez. Yeah, I was born in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Then I was adopted by a family who was moving from Jackson, Michigan to Detroit, Michigan. And I grew up in Detroit for a little while. I left there at 15, ended up in a youth home for 2 years. And then from there, I graduated high school. I went to Cass Tech High School for the first 3 years. And then I ended up well, actually, it was just was it my senior year? I don't, Jeez, oh my God, it's so long ago. And then I ended up graduating from Grand Rapids, Michigan, moved to Norfolk, Virginia for 12 years. And then I moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And something about the Carolinas have pulled me back and forth a couple times. My son's father is from South Carolina, and his grandparents still live there. And then I have an ex from North Carolina. So I don't know what it is about the Carolinas, but I always end up back in Atlanta. I went to grad school at Queen's University in Charlotte, North Carolina. So it's something about it gives me a little peace for a little while, and then it kicks me out. So, 'cause- so I'm back in Atlanta, and I love Atlanta. It's such a beautiful city, and you can do everything here, from ride horses to go swimming to build your life and career. And so I love it. I would never leave it again unless life ripped me away. But I've learned to never say never, and life is short. So,
For sure.
you know.
Yeah, your childhood and your young years, the resume is almost as crazy and as action-packed as your current resume. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Yes.
but let's talk about the power of a name, Queen Sheba. It's
Yeah.
such a commanding title. What does that mean to you, your personality, and how has it shaped the way you move through the world as an artist?
You know, nobody's asked me that in a long time, and I appreciate you asking me that. It started off just as a pen name, and that's the truth. In spoken word 24 years ago, and that's a true year number. We all had pen names. We were coming up with like stage names, and we wanted to be so and so and so and so, and blah blah blah. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be Queen Sheba." There was little Kim, and she was Queen Bee, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be Queen Sheba." And over the years, it garnered more respect than badass. And so the old adage of you call a rose long enough, it starts to act like a rose. I know that's not really how it goes, but but that's what it did for me. So when people would call me queen, my back straightened and my shoulders straightened, and I was like, I am deserving of that. And it's not that I walk around feeling like I have minions or a queendom or anything like that, but I started to gain more self-respect and started to look at my life differently and started to understand that I deserve a place in this world. Being adopted, familyless, I don't even have connection with the family that adopted me anymore. And so it's difficult. I'm estranged from my son. And so it's really hard to orbit this world by myself. And sometimes I just got to remind myself to straighten my crown and, keep pushing forward. So that's what it means to be now. Just it's a force of empowerment, and not a weapon, not a weapon at all. There can be many queens, there can be many kings, and I hope we all flourish.
I love that answer because empowerment is something that's so true to who and what you are. And it's funny because I interviewed someone, an actress, Sandra Valls, and on her website it says, and badass. And I had that in my notes and I said, I don't know if Queen Sheba is going to want me to say that, but you said it. So you say, it's like I want to be a badass in that way. But I have to tell you, difficult to find questions about your poetry. I'm going to be honest. I taught English for over 30 years, and I hear a line and I say, oh my God, that's so powerful. I have to ask her about that. And then you messed me up because it was followed by another line. I said, oh my God, I have to do that one. And it's like when you go to a comedy club and you hear about 400 jokes and each one makes you forget the other one.
Yeah.
So it's just so powerful. And turning pain into poetry, spoken word often springs from deeply personal places. You mentioned personal things about your family, and they've even led you to the classroom. So what struggles or defining moments in your life have most influenced your voice and your work?
Um, just being a woman, one, definitely being adopted, being disconnected from my identity, my ethnicity, my heritage, not understanding my lineage or where I come from or what's running through my veins, literally. Like, is there alcoholism in my family? Is there hepatitis? I don't know if that's even hereditary, but whatever. What I mean, I don't know. What was my family like, and who were they? How tall are they? And sure, we have all those websites that you can swab it. It's nothing like family and knowing where you're connected to and where you come from. And yes, I have lots of poet friends that I call my sisters and brothers and cousins that live all over the world. And that's wonderful. And I was just telling someone last night, literally last night, I was saying, I want to go home and I don't know where that is. Oh my God, you're gonna make me cry. I don't know where that is and I don't know what that looks like right now. And I'm so excited about this chapter of my life, but I'm ready to go home and make a home and I don't know what that looks like. And it can be scary, but I'm not really scared of anything. I'm only scared of one thing, but I'm not scared of creating and I'm not scared of reinventing myself. So that's where all the poems come from. It's like, what are we doing now? Where did this come from? How am I feeling about it? And what's the resolve? There's got to be a resolve.
Mm. Well, it's
Yeah.
so interesting, and that resonated with me because you talk about not really knowing where you're from. That is such a dichotomy of when you perform, because what I see is somebody so confident and happy and proud to be in her own skin. And the fact that you just shared and were so transparent about family and really not knowing home, it does not come across that way in your poetry at all. It's so powerful. The words you use, the metaphors, the visions that I see when I hear you, they're just so powerful. So I have a question. I mean, I don't know how you memorize one after another, but I think you have to add actress to your list of accomplishments because if you really feel you don't know where home is, the act you're putting on stage does not show that. I mean, you are just a
Well,
powerful force to reckon with.
thank you.
You kind of scare me a little bit in a good way.
Well, I'm a puffball for one. Two, that's funny that you said actress. I have been around a couple people lately, and they're like, "I see acting in your future," and I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." I don't say no to anything. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm open. Let's do it. Let's do it." But it's just, it's repetition. It's like learning how to play the drums, learning how to play an instrument. You just, do it over and over. I have my method, and we don't have to veer off into this at all. But right now, I'm saving my brain space and my brain cells for memorizing my 15-minute TEDx that's in 2 weeks from today. So I am saving that space for that. And but when it's a story, and especially because spoken word is an oral adaptation, then if you mess up, you just kind of fill in the blanks and then get back to wherever you lost your place and then end up. And it's funny that it's not funny, haha, but it's interesting that when poets mess up on stage, they're like, oh, can I start over? Oh, I missed the line. But we don't know that. And I try to teach that over and over again. I'm like, listen, I understand that you want to get us that one or two lines that you think that it's gonna make or break your home, and we're not gonna understand it. It doesn't. Like, just get the gist of the story. I'll get the point, wrap it up, and then a story is a story. I went to comedy school while I was in grad school on purpose.
Mm.
One, to help me with transitions with my poems, because sometimes they can be heavy, but also to write my poems to like a side job, or they'll lighten the load a little bit, while I'm talking about something heavy. And I am so glad I went. It was so dope. I went to the Comedy Zone for 6 weeks, and
Mm.
I never wanted to be a full-time stand-up comedian, but I'm so glad that I have that tool in my tool belt for sure.
Her poetry ignites change and inspires action. Her voice resonates deep within the collective soul, awakening a powerful force for transformation. Nominated for Best Spoken Poetry Album, please welcome Queen Sheba.
Thank you, Justin. Hello, everyone. I feel truly honored to be here this afternoon. I want to congratulate all of the nominees. Let's get to these next categories.
For Best Jazz Performance.
And the Grammy goes to Samara Joy featuring Sullivan Partner.
I love the genre you chose to tell your story. Too many people weigh in powerfully sometimes on social media, hit send or hit post, and then they go drink their coffee. And you go there, and we don't need 500 people to weigh in on what you say. They're there, you deliver your message the way it's the truth to you. But I would argue that it's your 11th album, but I believe this is your most ambitious spoken word poetry record of your career.
Thank you. What makes you say that?
Because I listened. I mean, look, I was scared to interview you today. I mean, I thought you were mad at me when I was listening to some.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, yeah. This is so powerful, so timely. You can't hide behind your poetry, or the audience cannot hide. You can't duck. That's why your next album, number 12, is going to be in your face. Parentheses. Marc Hoberman named this. So,
Okay, I'm going to say Mark named this.
yes, I need that. So, the hidden grind. Fans see the finished performance, the standing ovations, the tours, the recognition. But what's a part of your journey that's been especially tough? Something that most people never see behind the curtain.
Oh, I cry way more than I let people see. I um I do a lot of the well, I do all of the admin work, and I'm the artist, and it is a lot for my. I talk about being neurodivergent on the album, and it's a lot for my brain sometimes to wrangle and keep all the pans in the air at the same time. And literally, sometimes I need to just take a nap in the middle of the day. And then my ex used to be like, "What is wrong with you?" Because she was a strict like 9 to 5er, and I was just like, "Bro, I need a nap." Like, I need to, I just, it was just a lot. So people, the higher you climb, the more people need their paperwork. And it doesn't matter if you get with a producer and they're like, "Hey, I'm going to do it for free." You need to paperwork that says, "I'm going to do it for free." And
Yes.
so all of that matters. And sometimes I feel like I'm doing more admin than artistry, and that bothers me because I don't have a machine. I'm an independent artist, and yes, I'm very grateful and excited that I've garnered 2 nominations being an independent artist. But what would it look like if I had a machine, a little machine? And thank God for my new PR team. Beatrice is amazing. Like, oh my gosh. I don't know where, I mean, actually, I do know where she came from, but heaven sent her, and that was a connection through one of my shows.
Yep.
And it's just, you just never know who you're going to meet that's going to help you meet somebody that's going to help you meet somebody. So kindness is a tool that you want to have in your tool belt as well.
Absolutely.
Um, so the admin work is the biggest I would say, thorn in my side. If I could get someone to be as meticulous as I am with my administrative work, I would love for me to just be an artist for a good 15 years and I'd be ready. I never say retire. I'm ready to, in 15 years, I said I want to pivot. I want to pivot in 15 years. I think I'm going to pivot soon. I think this season I'm gonna pivot. I feel something pivoting for me, and then I would like to ride that wave for about 5 to 7 years, and then I think I'm gonna pivot again. And I think in 15 years I'm gonna have my last pivot of my life into whatever that's gonna look like. And I've always had really good discernment and intuition, and I think that's the way it's gonna go.
Wow.
So.
And I'm sure that you'll make that happen. I just want to circle back real quick. We're talking, of course, about Beatrice Davis, who's also my talent booker and publicist. And let me tell you, I don't want you mad at me, and I don't want her mad at me. So let me tell you, I got lucky that it's the real deal. But you have to know what you don't know. And I hear what you're saying, and it's so hard for certain artists to let go because, especially with you, it's your words, it represents you. But we need to be free to do what we do best and let the other people who are better at the machine part, and like you said,
Yes.
ridiculous, to do that. So I love the fact that you recognize that. So let's talk about, you're talking about pivoting, and let's talk about the legacy of the spoken word. Poetry has long been the voice of movements, generations. What legacy does Queen Sheba's work leave for the artists and audiences coming after you?
My knee-jerk reaction to that question is my company, Poetry versus Hip Hop. We are celebrating 10 years this year. Um, October 17th and 18th, again, in 2 weeks, ironically, is on the same day as the TEDx talk. We will be celebrating in Atlanta at City Winery, 2 days of just amazing artists. And so that legacy will continue. And I want women, especially, to feel empowered and not to second guess themselves. All of the mistakes that I have made is because I second guessed myself and my self worth, my self respect, and my own integrity. It's nobody's fault but my own. And that's the truth. And I'm not sitting here healed from that. I'm not saying that I'm abolished from that. I'm not saying that it's over and that I won't ever make another mistake again, or I might not ever second guess myself again. But I know 100% clearly as I sit here with you today, Mark, that all of my mistakes, all of my problems are because I second guessed myself. So I want women, especially, whatever, I know it might hurt, I know it might be uncomfortable, or it might not, but just don't second guess yourself. If it's something amazing, go for it. If it's something that's uncomfortable, do it anyway. And for the brothers that listen to my work, I want you to feel empowered that you are. Sometimes the brothers have lower self-esteem than we do, and we don't recognize that. And brothers, you are brothers, men of all colors, everywhere, all over the earth. Feel empowered. It's okay for you to be the man that you want to be, whatever that looks like. Be yourself. Women, be yourself, whatever that looks like. And I have learned sitting here at this chronological age, can't nobody tell you nothing. Let me tell you, I learned too late, and praise God for all the people, all the young people who have learned it and have stitched it in their bones that can't nobody tell you nothing and you're gonna be you. I learned it way too late, and I finally got it. I finally got it in my bones. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Not in a bad way, not like pop your collar, be rude. I mean, like, I need to do what's best for me. I want you to do what's best for you, and forget all the opinions out there. They talked about everybody from Kanye to Jesus to Lil Kim to Flavor Flav. You don't think they gonna not gonna talk about you and me? Man, come on. And it doesn't matter. Look at Cardi B's new album, going skyrocketing. And they talked about her for years around Offset. Oh well, just keep going, people. Just keep going.
Well,
That's what I want my legacy to be.
I love
Empowerment.
that message. I love that philosophy. That could be your second TED Talk. So important for young people to know. Uh, In closing, I have to ask you, performing raw, honest pieces requires so much courage. So how do you prepare yourself emotionally to stand on stage and share your most vulnerable truths?
You know what's funny is this is just in my head. I've never asked anybody this. This is not official. This is not a like something out of a book or anything. I pretend the audience doesn't believe me.
Mm,
That is how I am brave enough to be like, they're gonna forget as soon as they leave.
mm,
They're not, they're gonna think this is entertainment. And so that's how I am able to stand there and cry and stand there and tell my honest story because I think that the majority of the mass I don't know what the description is. The majority of the common listener for spoken word is coming for entertainment. They're coming to, oh, this is a cool night. Let me
all
get
right.
a glass of wine and go see some spoken word. So they went home and they forgot all about it. Well, I mean, not to say that we aren't effective and moving and they want to come back and become our fans. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm hoping, in my mind, I'm like hoping they're taking it like a song and they just, get in a car and go home. That is how I drum myself up. But in my gut, I want them to be changed. I want them to be forever moved. I want them to be forever affected. But your question was, how do I get the courage to go out and do it? I pretend like they're going to forget about it, but
Mm,
I hope that they do not.
right. Well, count me as someone in your audience. Ain't nobody can tell you what to, ain't nobody forgetting that. So I'm just telling you now. You can keep telling yourself that, but it's so powerful. So, time has flown, and Queen Sheba, thank you for joining us today and sharing really your innermost personal stories with our audience. And I'm sure that your new album is Grammy bound, and we can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you so much. Please listen to A Hurricane in Heels. Healed People Don't Act Like That on all streaming platforms. And today is Friday, October 3rd. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but today starts the first round of Grammy voting season. I can't tell you who to vote for. I have an album up for consideration in the spoken word category.
Outstanding. Congratulations. Such a big accomplishment. And I hope you'll come back soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.